Don says in question 4, thank you. I feel obligated to ask the next somewhat transient question because of a request from Colonel Stevens. I also, for my own edification, would like to better understand the effect of the quarantine and first distortion. Would Ra comment on the purpose of the so-called Pleiades contact in Switzerland with Billy Meyer by an entity known as Simjasi or Simjas and others? I'm not sure how to pronounce that. So we can see, let me make a little thing here. We can see that for the first time in a long time, Don is going back to asking a question that we can already feel that is totally, it's a, I don't want to use the word primitive or beginner question. You know, that interest in quarantine and contact with others. But again, he was making a favor. He was doing a favor for his friend Billy Meyer, who apparently is a UFO researcher or something like that. I'm not sure who he is, but I heard that. And his name sounds sort of familiar too. In any case, you can see that Don is asking a question that goes a little bit outside of archetypical mind, the octave, evolution, the heart of seeking, and so on. All these things that speak more truly to our seeking, to our yearning for metaphysical and spiritual information. So let's see what Ross says here. So a contact with the Pleiades and something about the quarantine and the first distortion, free will. But all right. Ross says, it is not our practice to judge the value of a contact of metaphysical origin. We cannot confirm the contact referred to by the questionnaire as pure confederation contact. However, we might suggest that there is some positive material within the recorded transcript of converse during this contact, as we have spoken previously to the various characteristics of so-called mixed contact. We shall not repeat, but note that all communication is of the one infinite creator in its infinite distortions. Okay, so Billy Meyer was able to make contact with some Pleiades entities. There is information, and so Don is asking, I guess, something about the first distortion. Maybe the contact gave information about free will and the quarantine. I'm not sure what it is. So can Ra comment about this? Yes, they will say, 1, it is not our custom to judge the value of other contacts. Like, that's not what we do. We're not here to tell you good or bad, great, not so great. That's somebody else talking. You know, it's like if you want to go to a teacher and then you ask the teacher, you know, what do you think this other person is talking about, this and that? I mean, I don't know. That's their way to say things, but use your discernment, right? That's what we would say. Same thing Ra is saying here. They cannot confirm, at least, that the contact or the information that they gave was by the Confederation. It wasn't pure Confederation, so something else was involved there. Just like I would say, you know, if somebody asks me about, which I get very often, especially in my teaching, about other things, you know, what do you think about this and that? I mean, I can only tell you that that is not related to the teaching. It doesn't mean that, you know, you should or shouldn't follow it. You do whatever you want. But for example, people, especially people in the past year, at least 3 or 4 people have talked to me about the Gateway Protocol or something like that. And, you know, that's great for people that want to explore their minds. Does it have anything to do with the teaching of self-realization? Not really. I mean, it's related to, because everything is related to this, but it's not deepening your knowledge of yourself. We can get very confused with that and explore so many things in the astral planes and the power of the mind and the psychic abilities and so on, but that's not related to finding the transformation that you're looking for, at least not in the direction of harmony. Could be related, maybe tangentially, like everything else is, but that's how things work. Now, they will suggest they're talking about, yes, there is some positive material in what they gave. Remember that mixed contact is that which comes with, I was taught this in a long time ago when I first got interested in these topics, that there is information that comes in like 90% positive, and then they inject a little bit of 10% negative, and that's what distorts everything and destroys basically the message itself. It starts to get distorted into a way that causes some sort of fear or defense or guilt, shame, victimhood, enemies, whatever. All of this. You can see this in many of the people who talk about these matters this way. I mean, does the raw contact contain negative information? I actually think it does. I actually think that the material itself contains mixed contact. I don't think it's 100% raw. Now, what it is, you have to find out. Is it in the heart of seeking teaching? I don't think so. Could be, but I don't think so. Could it be more with the material of cattle mutilation and negative entities and the robots and things that they talked about at the beginning? Possibly. There are things that just become sort of irrelevant when you read the raw material and you get into the mystical heart of it, and you say, "Oh, this is the real stuff." Then you read the other one and says, "Okay, that's kind of irrelevant." If there are so many superficial topics that were discussed here that have nothing to do with the direction in which self-realization is, which again is the law of one. When you hear or read Ra talk about the law of one, that's what they're talking about. You become the creator. You become the peace and the harmony that the creator is, and radiate that to others. It's what our mystical traditions have been saying and shining on us for thousands of years. So I don't consider anything more important than that. But I do understand that a lot of people study the material because they're interested in the phenomenal stuff that is in there. Egypt and the pyramids and what's behind the Sphinx. They don't talk about the Sphinx here, but that kind of stuff, that's not for me. It's for other people, but that's fine. I would just say that of course, is not. I wouldn't consider that positive material or negative. It's just irrelevant. That's my view, though. Is it interesting to study the history and how things worked? Yeah, maybe. Does it help? No. Ra several times says, transit information, not so important. The heart of the seeking is here. The time of the pyramids is gone. Now the self is the thing to study, and so on. But, yeah. Okay, so that's my view, and that's what Ra is saying here. There's something else that they say. Mixed contacts. However, even though they do say, this is a very important point, this is not to discredit the contact itself, but to actually emphasize and repeat that all communication is from the one infinite creator. In other words, everything that you perceive is not that you have to measure it as good or bad. I should not have read this or hear about this. I actually should have done. No. Everything is there to inform you. And how can even stuff that is irrelevant can inform you into the right direction? That's up to you to discern. But everything is pointing in the same direction. You see, falsehood is pointing in the direction of truth, isn't it? You have to be exposed to falsehood to know what truth is. That's how you can discern it. So, yeah, everything has its value, I would say.